Today's talk in the park is going to be about why I believe that high school grades don't matter as much as you think they do, or at least the general sense of they do. And it's because now in second year undergraduate university, I'm realizing now that throughout most of high school I would stress a lot about individual grades, about the individual numbers of like how tight I messed up because I got a 91 a test or in comparison to something like an 80. And when you think about the future, it's obviously not quite that impactful. Because obviously if you want to get into like a really academically challenging university, then yes, the individual numbers will matter. Like you need to read an 80 or higher to get into a certain course or whatnot. But when it comes to most universities in the case, stressing over the individual number only makes it worse for you overall. The more I think about it now, those numbers don't really change much this far in. Now granted, that's not to say like don't work hard in high school at all, like don't do anything. Rather, you shouldn't be stressing over individual numbers, but looking towards a general work ethic you want to build. It's more so about the skills and less the course content. A large majority of the content from high school courses ended up being review in the first year, and even some in the second year too. They basically run you through all this stuff again, so it's not like you need to memorize the content from high school, but rather you're exposed to it there, and you're now just reviewing it so you have a foundational knowledge. If you did none of the work before, then you're obviously going to have nothing to pay out in return. So what do you do then? Well, I would say that you should study regularly, like in a sense, just review the material, go to classes and whatnot, and try your best. But rather than stress over the tiniest number difference, just work towards a goal. If you're normally a B70 student, then maybe strive to get 75, just something small like that. Or just do extra bit of review, spend maybe half an hour each day. And I know that's not always accessible to all different people. People live different lives and have different responsibilities. But I'm just saying that putting an effort in high school does matter, but the individual grades don't. Let's try a different example. So, for example, in a course of biology, when I was younger, in grade 11 or so, I would stress constantly about my 70s or my 80s because I felt like I could do a lot better. I was this perfectionist in a sense where I felt like I could do better than I actually did, or I could succeed beyond what I did before, but something was missing. Even when I put in the work, I felt like I wasn't getting the same amount out. Looking back on it now, a lot of the concepts I learned then were reviewed in university anyway, and it came to a point where it was like, I know this foundational knowledge, just when it came to tests, I didn't perform as well, so to speak, but it doesn't mean I don't know the content, or I didn't work hard. By working hard, I set myself up for success for university courses to do as well as I am doing now. And that's the big takeaway, I feel like. You have to put in what you get out, and that's okay. Even when the numbers don't necessarily align, internally you feel like you know something more, and you feel like you've built a knowledge or built a sense of study habit. By ignoring the problem or procrastinating, you essentially rob yourself of an opportunity. You rob yourself of the knowledge, and you rob yourself of even potentially getting a score you want above. If you lock yourself into this vision where I am a 70 student and that's who I am, or if you lock yourself into a farther goal of I need to get 90s in everything, then you're just setting yourself up for failure because it's unrealistic. You're not building yourself up towards a goal you can achieve, let alone is healthy to constantly achieve if you sacrifice everything else to get to that point. So what about university then? Do those grades matter? Kind of. In some degree, yes. Doing well in the course will raise your GPA, and if you plan to do further education like grad school or whatnot, yes, those grades will matter. But there's a saying that C's get degrees, and to a degree, just notice that, it does. Because you just want your diploma at the end of the day to have your degree and to be able to apply to jobs and whatnot. That's the whole point of this whole educational part, the academics and going to university. So it doesn't mean you shouldn't try hard and just study at the last minute, but increment to studying, the habits you built in high school to do well, even to raise a number, will help you understand the content in university. If you think you're naturally smart, which I don't doubt you probably are, and you've been getting like high 80s, high 90s without even studying in high school, good for you. But that's not going to fly when you go to university, if you do, at least in an academic setting. Again, this is not to say that every single person needs to go to university or college. It's just saying from this perspective in the academic sphere, if you're looking at grades as just a strict identifying value of yourself, you can do better than just that. But the number itself doesn't mean anything. In first year, I got a 70 on one of my midterms, and I still managed to bounce back and get a 90 overall. Because the way things are weighted and the way lessons are structured in university, it's less so about individual tests and exams, but rather the building of knowledge over time. If you continuously study and work throughout your day, you'll be able to do well in those exams and whatnot to reach a certain range that you want to be at. At this point, I feel like I'm just talking nonsense or talking in circles, but it's genuinely how I feel. And as a perfectionist myself, it's difficult to get past the original ideas of being stuck or not being good enough. But you eventually have to be okay with that. It's fine to get 70s or 80s. It's fine to even fail tests sometimes. It's not recommended, but it's not the end of the world, because you know that you can get back somehow. You can work towards a different goal. You can adjust, adapt, and that's what it means to be a good person in our society, in most cases, being adaptable. In a workplace environment, if you're able to adjust to different issues, adjust to different problems, and solve them accordingly, you'll be able to do well, and that's what all this is training you for. Different fields like the trades and whatnot will obviously teach you this in a more application sense, but from an academic standpoint, I feel like a lot of us tend to lose the sight of what it means to be a worker and what it means to actually have goals and ambitions. If you're so locked into the place of do well in university and get high numbers, then you're losing track of what a goal actually entails. If this academic institution makes a goal for you, then you're not really individualistic in that sense. If you're able to make goals yourself and set them according to those and have almost a combination of the two, I think that's the key to success. Anyway, that's been Talk in the Park. We'll see you eventually some other time, maybe in a different location, and we'll talk about something else. Bye for now.